Hi guys, this video is on the new moon in Sagittarius, which happens on the 18th of December 2017. It occurs at 6:30 in the morning, and that's UK time. And a new moon is always a period when the moon is totally black and the sun and the moon conjunct each other. So the moon is kind of come all the way around and it sits right next to the sun, on top of the sun, and it recharges its energy. So it kind of takes a little break to pull lots of energy in so it can get ready for its new monthly cycle. And the new moon is a wonderful time to kind of get in touch with that energy because it's being pulled in, and that's something that you can do yourself. You can kind of align yourself with the new moon energy, feel what's being pulled in. In this case, it's really optimistic, hopeful Sagittarius energy. You can pull that into yourself and it will give you ideas and dreams for the future, and it will kind of present you with light at the end of the tunnel. This is a really optimistic and hopeful new moon, which kind of fills you with dreams and aspirations, which you can then fulfill in the next 30 days and beyond. And that's really important because, you know, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in the middle of winter, loads of people are snowed in and it looks really dark. There's no kind of fire out in the world. It looks cold, it looks difficult. And these kind of astrological energies are important because it's almost like having a fireplace in your home. You know, it warms you, it makes you feel nurtured, it makes you feel supported, and it reminds you that there will be fire again in your life and in the world, and that just because it's cold outside does not mean that it's hopeless and that things aren't going to get better. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, then you'll be seeing all of the fire out in the world, and then you will really appreciate this as well because it's going to energize you even more, and it's going to give you the kind of energy and motivation to do things and to get the things that you want and to explore and to have fun and to do all of that stuff. Now I'm going to give you a rundown of what this new moon is about and how it's influenced and how it's going to affect you. So first of all, the sun and the moon are together at 26 degrees in Sagittarius. So it is a new moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign of the centaur. So like I said just a moment ago in the weekly horoscope, the centaur is a really kind of, especially Sagittarius, because we do have other centaurs like Chiron. Sagittarius is a really hopeful one because the bottom half is horse, the top is man, and he's got a bow and arrow, and he's aiming that bow and arrow to kind of get to a goal, to get to a destination. So he's always moving forward. There's a real sense of momentum about Sagittarius. But also what I like about the actual symbolism of Sagittarius is it's kind of like we're transcending our animalistic natures, which is totally supported in Sagittarius because that animalistic nature of the horse gives us the strength and the speed to gallop somewhere quickly. 4 legs are better than 2, right? If you've got 4 legs, you're going to get somewhere quicker than if you just have 2. But the top half is man, and we've got this horse with a brain, with human desires and ideas and intelligence, and because of that he can take his bow and arrow and he can actually decide where he wants to gallop rather than being this crazy beast who just runs around randomly. So Sagittarius is about 1, feeling empowered, 2, having the sense that your hopes and dreams are within your reach, that if you dream it and if you want it and if you feel it, you can have it, which is huge. It sounds really trivial when I say it, but you know, the fact that if you dream something and if you have a desire to get something in life and your intuition or your gut says, well, it's very well that you want this, but you will never ever have it because you're not attractive enough, or you're not qualified enough, or because of your background, or because of where you live. That kind of response is really, really depressing, and that can turn people into versions of themselves that they never want to be. Because, you know, if you want something really desperately, and if you're denied it for long enough, then you can really lose your way, can't you? It can really be, life doesn't treat me fairly. I've got this desire, but I'm just being punished with it. It's almost like this is a thorn in my side. I have this desire, I've had it for years, but I can't get it. So because I can't get it, I'm internally kind of tortured, and I'm going to act out in certain ways because I don't get what I want. So therefore I don't have to behave properly, or I don't have to do what life expects of me because I don't get what I want. So why should I give life what it wants from me? It works both ways, right? So Sagittarius is a wonderful, wonderful sign that gives us that sense of you want it, you dream it, you can have it. And that's really fabulous. So this new moon in Sagittarius gives you hope, and it allows you to see light at the end of the tunnel, and it gives you a sense of empowerment and motivation, and that your dreams can be fulfilled, and that you can be happy, and that you can reach for the stars, and that your wishes come true. All of those magical things is involved with this new moon. And also it's at 26 degrees. 2 and 6 is 8, and 8 is power. So the big thing that you're going to really feel during this new moon is that sense of optimism and hope, but also the bottom half of the centaur, the horse part, which is power. I have the power to make my hopes and dreams a reality. So even though I don't have the qualification, I can go to college, or I can go to take a course, and I can become qualified, and I can do what my dream is. And that takes power, and that takes energy, and that's what this powerful new moon gives you. So it's a really important and wonderful time to plant these seeds of intention and to say, I have a dream, and I'm going to now look at how I'm going to realize that dream. So let's say I want to move to the States. So what I can do is I can have a look at what my visa options are, and then I can get busy with that and apply for something, a working visa, or I can make an investment, but I'm going to figure out a way of getting over there and realize my dream. That's what this new moon is all about. It's about not your granny's dreams or your mother's dreams for you, or your husband's dreams for you, or your wife's dreams for you. It's about you and your dreams. So those will become crystal clear to you during this energy. They'll kind of arise out of you organically, and you'll know what you want. So really listen to that and honor it, and say, this has been here for a while. I'm going to not dismiss it and say impractical, impossible, I'm not good enough. I'm going to embrace it and say, I've got this desire for a reason, and it's not just for me to be tortured and miserable. I'm going to actually now take some action and make this a reality. Now we've got Venus conjuncting this new moon, and Venus is the planet of love, beauty, and creativity. That's also in Sagittarius. And Venus in Sagittarius is really, really optimistic. She loves to explore, and she loves to find new ways of doing things. So the goddess of love and beauty is really on your side, helping you to find solutions to your problems. And it's at 21 degrees. 2 and 1 is 3, and 3 is about communication and new beginnings. So Venus is really going to help you enjoy this process of problem solving, and it's going to find doorways for you to walk through, and it's going to allow you to resolve your issues so that you can progress. What's also conjunct is Saturn in Sagittarius. Now this is interesting because Saturn is the planet of structure. It's the planet that says, what are you doing with your life? Are you on track? You've come into this lifetime for a specific reason. Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? I'm going to keep an eye on you, and I'm going to make sure that you're kind of obeying the rules, and that you're using your talents and your gifts, and you're going in the direction that you're supposed to. In 2 days from now, Saturn moves out of Sagittarius, which it's been in for 2.5 years, and it moves into Capricorn, and it stays in Capricorn from the 20th of December through until the 21st of March 2020. I've made a separate video on this, so if you'd like some more information on what this shift of Saturn from Sagittarius to Capricorn means, then have a look at that video. It goes into a lot more detail. But what we've got here today is Saturn at 29 degrees in Sagittarius. And because it's at 29 degrees, it's kind of the last hurrah. It's critical. Because each house in the astrology, remember, has 30 degrees. So when it's at 29 degrees, it's at the very end of its kind of go in Sagittarius. And whenever something's at the very end of something, it either clings onto it for dear life or it kind of gets ready to move to the next level. So whichever way you look at it, Saturn in Sagittarius today is stronger than it was at 25 degrees or 20 degrees or 10 degrees because it knows it's kind of about to make this shift. So Saturn in Sagittarius is fundamentally conflicted. Saturn says stay put down roots, build something. Sagittarius, as I've said, is gallop ahead, find your goal and realize it. So we've got this conflicted Saturn conjuncting this new moon, and that complicates things because it's going to give you a whole bunch of dreams, but it's not a problem because all it does is it says, okay, you have the dream of building a house for yourself and moving and finding a partner and making money. Those dreams fundamentally are somewhat conflicted. You know, you can't travel the world and also buy a house and settle down. You can't do both at once. But the great thing about this Saturn conjuncting this new moon is that all of the dreams that you yet have to fulfill in your life or that you want to fulfill will come to the surface and you'll be able to see them and take note of them. So I really suggest that here on the 18th of December on this, it's a Sunday, isn't it? Yeah, on this Sunday. Is it? I think it is. No, it's a Monday. Yeah, it's a Monday. So that you get a piece of paper and that you jot down the things that you want to achieve and that you really want to achieve in future, because Saturn is going to bring all of that up to the surface and it's going to create it for you. Now, we also have Black Moon Lilith conjuncting this new moon, and Black Moon Lilith is in Capricorn at 4 degrees, so it's 8 degrees away from the new moon. Black Moon Lilith is the part of the chart where the ego tries to sabotage you, and it says you can't do this because, and it does that because the ego doesn't want you to succeed. It wants you to kind of stay stuck, and it wants you to stay moderately miserable so that you don't kind of achieve your soul mission and your soul purpose. Black Moon Lilith is in Capricorn, so it says, yes, you may have dreams, but how are you going to realize those in actuality? It's one thing to want to be a film star, but really how realistic is it? So Black Moon Lilith is going to try and put a downer on these things, and that's why it's important that you write them down, your dreams and your desires, and that you don't dismiss them, because that's what Black Moon Lilith wants you to do. It wants you to immediately say, okay, I want to be a neurosurgeon, but I can't because I don't have an A level in maths or chemistry or whatever it is. So that dream will never happen. So don't let Black Moon Lilith kind of rain on your parade here. Write down your dreams because they are solvable, they are achievable, as long as you don't give up on them, or as long as you don't let Black Moon Lilith kind of poo-poo them for you and kind of put a downer on them and make you think, I'll never amount to anything because I'm not good enough. That's what Black Moon Lilith is trying to do. And we all have that voice in our head and we can all recognize it. And if we only listen to that voice, then none of us will get anywhere. And we have to kind of manage that voice of, I'm not good enough. Nothing's ever gonna, you know, don't even go there, don't entertain it, say thanks for sharing, bye, and just get rid of it, because you are capable, you're amazing, and you can achieve the things that you want in life. Now, let's look at the aspect patterns that this makes, because those are the planets that conjunct it. So I've talked about Venus, Saturn, and Black Moon Lilith. The conjunction, first conjunction, yeah, the conjunctions are the planets I've talked about, the aspect patterns. The first aspect is a square, which means that it's 90 degrees away from the midheaven in Libra. And the midheaven is to do with work. It's the angle that indicates noon in a chart, and that is what your vocational aptitudes are. So it's in Libra. This new moon is going to kind of give you certain hopes and dreams when it comes to your future, particularly when it comes to how you're going to work with other people, how you can connect with other people, and how you can make use of the skills of those people around you to really create something solid. So whether that's in your working life, or whether that's in your family situation, or whether that's in your friendship group, it's really going to give you an idea of how to create a greater and more reliable sense of community around you. So that's wonderful. So this isn't just, fanciful dreams and ideas that just put you in lots of different directions. It actually is practical in the sense of I want to build something with other people long term. That means that I'm not lonely and that I have people around me who I connect with and who care about me and who I care about. The next aspect is the moon squaring Chiron in Pisces. And that's interesting because that's going to bring up the things that in the past didn't work and how you can now either pursue different goals or to revisit goals that haven't worked in the past and to try again. And it's going to give you that sense of optimism that even though something didn't work out once or twice, doesn't mean it's out of your reach forever. You can keep trying until you get it. A lot of people believe that if something doesn't come easily in life, then it's just not meant to be and the universe doesn't want me to have it. I really dislike that way of thinking because we live on a planet where most of the things that are really worth achieving and worth doing require some hard work and that aren't just delivered to you on a silver platter. I really don't share that belief. And if I try and do something and I hit certain roadblocks, I don't immediately take that as a sign that the universe doesn't want me to do it and that it's wrong. In fact, I take that as I'm on the right track, because if there are obstacles in my way, then the ego is being triggered and it's trying to prevent me from getting what I want. So this whole, it didn't come perfectly, easily, effortlessly, so it's not meant to be and I'll move on to something else. That's not a way to achieve your hopes and dreams and goals. Sometimes you really have to push and work hard to get something done. And that Chiron square is really positive because it'll give you renewed hope and a renewed sense of being able to do things that have failed in the past. Okay, let me look at this closely. What else have we got? We have got a trine with Uranus in Aries. Uranus is the planet of energy, electricity, rebellion, eccentricity, independence, doing things solo. And in Aries, it's in the first sign of the zodiac, the Ram, which is all about moving forward. And that's at 24 degrees. 2 and 4 is 6. And 6 in numerology is an opportunity. So, even better. So you've got Sagittarius, the centaur, okay? But now you've got the centaur on steroids because Uranus gives it so much energy and power and willfulness that it doesn't just gallop towards your dream. It can gallop to the moon if it wants. I mean, it's unstoppable. So the opportunities that you can create here for yourself, just by thinking about them, are endless. The sky's the limit, and you can really achieve whatever it is you want. And that's why it's so important, again, to write things down here and to make a note of how you truly feel. So, for instance, I truly want to be a doctor, for example. And if that's totally impossible because you come from a background where no one has a penny, you can barely read, and it's really difficult, then that doesn't mean that you can never become a doctor. It just means that you're starting down here and that you have a long way to go, but it is doable. And Uranus is going to fill you with that unshakable belief that whatever it is I want, I can make it happen because I have the desire for a reason. If I didn't have this desire, it wouldn't be here. Venus makes a trine with the North Node in Leo, and I'm taking this into account because Venus actually conjuncts the new moon. So Venus forming this trine with Leo, the North Node in Leo at 17 degrees is about what I want to achieve in terms of how I want to be seen and recognized by other people. So this is about also having some sort of achieving something and being proud of yourself for doing it. You know, I have a dream and I'm going to make that happen, and I want to prove it to myself, and I also want to prove it to other people that I set my mind to something, and because I set my mind to it, I made it happen and I achieved it and I did well with it. And I mean, that sounds kind of trite, but you know, when we do achieve things in life, like if you start your own business and you make a success of it, that's something to be proud of. You know, if you get the money together for your first mortgage and you put down the deposit and then you get the mortgage, that's something to be proud of. That's something that you did and that you can tell other people about, and that you can say, do you know what, actually I did that. And you can own that and you can be proud of that. And I think the more things like that we do, it affects our self-esteem. I think self-esteem works both ways. So we can look in the mirror and do mirror work like Louise Hay says, and we can look in the mirror and we can say, I love you, thank you for taking such good care of me, you're an amazing person, I love you so much. But you can do that, but if at the meantime you're kicking dogs in the street every time you pass them, then you can do positive affirmations all you like, but you're still going to feel bad about yourself because you're behaving badly and you're being cruel to poor animals. And that's going to bring you right down, you know? So it's about doing the positive affirmations, looking in the mirror saying, I love you, so that you have the strength to actually do things. But then once you've achieved something in the real world, like you've built the business, or you get a gold medal for being the #1 swimmer or runner or a champion of some sort of competition, of course that is also going to positively affect you, because that's external validation and proof that you've done something good. And getting validation from yourself, yes, is super, super important, but we are human beings, and getting validation from the real world is also going to make you feel good. Like, for instance, if you're a young man and you're living in the States and you're an amazing football player and you get made quarterback, you're going to feel really good about yourself because your coach is going to validate you, the other teammates are going to validate you and say how amazing you are, the whole school's going to be proud of you and validate you, the girls are going to be throwing themselves at you and validate you, and all of those things have a huge impact. And if you compare that with a similar young man at the same school who is into Dungeons and Dragons and who has acne and who's very, very short-sighted and has these Coke cans on his glasses, he's not going to get any validation at all. In fact, he's probably going to be bullied. So he has to validate himself by looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. But no matter how much he does that, those two guys are going to be at very, very different levels of how they see themselves. And that's why it's important that we do love ourselves and that we see our value, but we can't pretend like the outside world and what it says to us is irrelevant, because it does have an impact. Wow, okay. Major speech on self-esteem there. All right, any other aspect patterns? Let's have a look. Okay, the new moon, yes, it forms a sextile with Mars in Scorpio. Mars in Scorpio is going to tell you on this day, I feel about this a certain way, and if I achieve it, then I will get a sense of freedom out of it. So that's why, again, piece of paper, notepad, or get the note thing on your iPhone out and write down the things that come to you, because Mars is at 5 degrees and 5 is about freedom. So the feelings that you have and the drives and desires that come up are going to give you a sense of freedom in your own life. We have a semi-square connecting this new moon with Jupiter in Scorpio. Jupiter is the good luck planet. So, by listening to your feelings today, you activate the good luck of Jupiter. Jupiter is on your side, and it's even more likely that you're going to be able to achieve your hopes and dreams by listening to your feelings. So it's important to feel your feelings on this day. If you're someone who represses their own feelings, who can't face their own feelings, if you have a negative feeling, then you take something to get rid of it so you can get on with your life. That's not going to work. On this day, it's important that you really have an honest dialogue with yourself and you listen to what's going on, because that is going to activate good luck and will lead you to where you want to go. I'm just looking at any other aspect patterns so I don't miss anything here for you guys. Okay, so we got Mars and Jupiter, the North Node. Neptune doesn't really affect it. Neptune connects with Mercury, but Mercury is just outside of... Mercury is at 15 degrees and the new moon is at 26 degrees. So it's 11 degrees away, and you count something as a conjunction when it's 10 degrees. So it's just outside of that. So I'm not counting the Mercury, so that doesn't influence it. And neither does the South Node. Okay, so that's what I get for you during this new moon. It's really, really optimistic, really hopeful. If you're someone who's really been struggling lately, this is really good because it gives you a renewed sense of hope in life. And that regardless of where you are now, and regardless of how horrible and terrible things have been, maybe your life is difficult. You know, some people say, oh, buck up and, you know, things will be fine. But people can't judge because people are at different levels in life. You know, some people meet the love of their life at 18 and they have children and they have a family, and that's what their life is, you know, for many, many, many years. And then you have other people who don't find that and who are single and who fail in their careers, and by the time they're 40 they're still alone and they still have no money and they're in poverty, and they're going to have a very different outlook to life than someone who has been in this happy family bliss thing for 20 years, which, don't get me wrong, I know that comes with difficulties as well. You know, children misbehaving or terrible things can happen in any circumstance in life, but it's never right, I don't think, to say to someone, oh, you know, just snap out of it, because be grateful for all the good things that you've got, especially if things have been super, super rough. You've got to acknowledge that things have been rough, feel your feelings and say, you know, things have been tough. But then this kind of new moon comes along and it says, regardless of how difficult things have been, and, you know, let's say I'm 40 and unemployed and I've got nothing and no one and it's all seems hopeless, this new moon is going to come along and it's going to give you an idea of what you could do for work, or how you can find secure housing, that your life can become better, that you can have faith and trust in the universe, even if things have been very, very difficult. Nothing is ever permanent. And that's why I love the astrology, and that's why I love things like this coming along, because it gives us a renewed sense that things can always get better, which we often need reminders of that because we don't live on the easiest planet. So that's what I get for you during this new moon. I hope you have a great time. I hope you get lots of inspirations and you write them down. If you'd like a private reading with me, then please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab to order your reading. And in the personal readings that I do, I draw up a chart like you've been looking at here in the video, but I draw up your chart by using your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth, and that gives me a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born, and that shows me what you're about and why you're here, why you've come back into this lifetime, what you're going to be good at work-wise, what obstacles you have to overcome in your life. And I can also use the predictive astrology and the tarot and the numerology to see what's coming up for you in future. So in terms of your love life, whether you're compatible with a certain partner or not, what's coming up in your career, financially, health-wise, what spiritual progress you're making, when the best time is to travel, And I can also use astrocartography to look at what parts of the world will influence you in a certain way. Really, it's endless, the things I can look at. So any questions you may have at all, please just get in touch with me for a private reading. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab to audio reading. Please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll speak to you soon.